One. Welcome back to Leadership with Darrell W Gunter. We like to say that leadership begins with you. So today I am so happy to have in our studio Mr. Caleb Hicks, who is the founder and CEO of SchoolAI. Let me tell you a little bit about Caleb. He's a former educator who turned founder with a mission to revolutionize how technology services serve schools and help every student feel seen and supported. He brings a wealth of experience, including a background in instructional design and curriculum development from companies like Apple and Dev Mountain. And he previously co-founded Lambda School. Welcome, Caleb, to the program.
Thank you. Excited to be here. This will be fun.
So if you could, you've described yourself as a teacher turned founder with a mission to help teachers and schools and reach every student. Could you elaborate on what personal experiences as an educator inspired you to found SchoolAI and address the challenges from teachers that they face daily?
Yeah, of course. I used to introduce myself as former and future teacher. I love the classroom. It's kind of the family business. My dad was a professor. My mom ran a preschool. My two older sisters were both teachers. So it was kind of predestined that I was going to go into the classroom, and I loved it. I taught I taught basically the computer classes for middle school students.
Okay.
It started as keyboarding, but turned into teen entrepreneurship, and we ran a school store, and I coached basketball, and like I was in it. I loved it,
Right.
and have a ton of respect for that. One of the hard things about being a teacher, especially a middle school teacher, that a lot of people don't understand is how many students you're working with at the same time. I had 42 desks in my classroom, and I was teaching 7 or 8 periods a day. So you start doing the math and you realize, like, I had 300 kids coming in and out of my door every day. And you can't even know that many people. Even if you are the diligent teacher that's like dialed and wants to know every kid's name and something about them, is like 300's a lot of kids. And what happens as a teacher is you have to make this impossible choice every day. Is, do you design your class and your experience for the 10% of the students that love it? In my case, the 30 students who really love it and are excited to be there and want more, and they deserve that because they're willing to put in the time and the effort. Or the 30 or so kids that are struggling, that
Hmm.
need extra help, that may have an accessibility challenge, or challenges at home that are preventing them from being full, like all in at school. And, those kids also really deserve it. And then you've got everyone else, the 80% of kids, right? Like that are in the middle, that are like, they're good students. They may or may not want to be there depending on the day, but they're there. And the way you would treat each of those groups of students, let alone the 300 individual students, but the way you would treat each of those students, those groups of students, totally different. Where you can go, where you need to support, like what you design your class to look and feel like and run like, totally different based on which of those you are. And I care about that so much because I was one of those 80%. I was a good kid. I was a good student. None of my teachers knew who I was until I was in high school. I had a physiology teacher that, like, she drove us so hard. She pushed us so far. She just assumed everyone was that top 10%. And that kind of made all of us that top 10% in her class. And I still see her today driving around town occasionally, like if I'm at a store, and she remembers me 20 years later. And like, that's it. She almost convinced me to be a doctor, and I faint at the sight of blood. So that's the power of an amazing teacher that can have that connection. So fast forward, why SchoolAI? There's lots of stories in between, but like, fast forward, why SchoolAI today? I want to help teachers make school awesome for their students. I have a 14-year-old daughter, went back to school last week, not loving school right now. And I want kids to come home from school and say, school was awesome today. You ask a kid, how was school today? They're going to say, it was fine. It was good. I want them to come home and say it was awesome. And that requires connection. That requires meaning. That requires being seen and heard. that requires the content being relevant to you. Uh, every young person today, they get on their phone, they get on social media, the entire internet, the entire world adapts algorithmically to their interests. And school is one size fits all. And so if you can change not just how the content is delivered and received in a personalized way, and I can share examples of that if that's interesting, um,
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
also the experience of going to school. So you said absolutely. I'll keep going. You can cut me
Yeah,
off
please do.
anytime.
Oh, no,
I do
no,
long
no.
answers.
This is
But
awesome. Mhm.
uh, uh, content. If you're teaching Econ 101, or if you're in high school and you're just teaching like basic econ, right? First lesson's going to be on supply and demand. Now, you know instinctually what that means, and probably a lot of the listeners here know exactly what that means. But when you're teaching that to someone the first time, you've got to make it relevant. So you probably are going to start talking about, if you're trying to teach to everyone, you're going to talk about something like toilet paper during COVID, right? You go to the store, supply and demand, baby, like it was gone. And so people were selling it out of their garages for a lot of money, right? And that's a funny example that most kids could probably get interested in. But what if you're really into sports? Well, then you can talk about how there's only one Tom Brady. Or you can talk about how there's probably only 20 really, really, really incredible quarterbacks in the NFL that can make a difference to your team, and 10 not so great ones. And so those 20 are going to be the most expensive people on your team, right? You can talk about that if you know that you're interested in sports. But what if you're interested in fashion and retail instead? Okay. Well, then maybe you want to talk about supply and demand in the context of a sneaker drop in New York City, and you're trying to get in line at the store right on time, or you know you're going to be paying 5 times as much aftermarket. And if I tell you these stories, you're nodding along like at least it's resonating with you. It's like kids want content that's tuned to them. They
Content
browse
and content.
Instagram, they browse TikTok, they get on Facebook, whatever it is, it's algorithmically tuned to their interests, and school is not. So that's on the content side. But the experience side matters just as much. A teacher knowing your name, a teacher knowing what you're interested in, you are struggling at home, and school adapting to the fact that like you probably only got 4 hours of sleep last night for whatever reason. Maybe you're coming to school hungry, school knowing and being able to support you with that, you getting bullied in the previous class, your content adapting to you, and the teacher being able to pull you aside and be like, I got you, let's do this, right? That's a vision I see in the future, even as class sizes grow. I have an elementary school student, like one of my kids, who went into his elementary school, 32 kids. Elementary school. It's one thing in middle school, high school, college, whatever, right? But like an elementary school teacher with 32 kids all day, it's crazy. So, how do we enable teachers to see every student, know every student, get the real-time insights about what to do in the moment? That's my history of why I care about that, my present of why I care about that, and what I see the real power of AI in the classroom doing. Yes, we can help with AI literacy. Students need to know this stuff. Yes, we can help with an AI tutor for every student, and we're building that. But it's really about creating these feedback loops that make school awesome for students and the people who support them, their teachers, their families, their parents, their school leaders, increasingly policymakers, so that by finding out what they need and helping make it happen. That's the power of AI in the classroom, I think.
How did you come about with all of your the great experience that you've had being both a teacher and working at corporations like Apple? How did you come about to develop this particular platform so that you can measure the success of the down to the student level?
Yeah. So I got lucky when I was a teacher. My principal invested in me going to a couple of different conferences and events, professional development or trainings with like hardcore instructional designers, and I realized I love that. Like it's I was a teacher, but really like my professional skill set is more so in experience design. I want you to know this. You don't know it. What are the steps I am going to take you through to get there? And I wrote a thing probably 10 years ago now said the two ingredients of highly effective learning. And ingredient one is you have to know where you are and where you want to go. And then you need someone that knows the difference and can walk you through it. And that someone now, that can be a teacher, that can be a set of experiences, that can be AI in some cases. So I learned that as a teacher, and I started building my classroom that way. What started as teaching 7 periods of keyboarding, my last year teaching, I was teaching teen entrepreneurship, and your grade was, you're going to make $1,000 this semester. That's it. If you made $700, you got a 70%. If you made $1,200, you got 120%, right? Like that was it. And so my class became a lab, and my job and my teaching assistant's jobs was to go around and work with each of the students to make sure that they got there. Fast forward, Lambda School, which we brought up, was one of the largest mastery-based progression experiments in the world. We had thousands of students that had a teaching assistant for every 8 students. We did a one-on-one with every student every day. We reviewed their work every day. I was annoying. I sent them a survey in Slack every hour.
Wow. They were using Slack?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, this was all online. We were Zoom and Slack. We were fully native online program where we were getting people jobs from zero technical experience in some cases into jobs, and they only paid us once they got a job in what we trained them on. And so I had to make sure that they actually learned it. I also had to make sure that they had a great experience, because otherwise they would drop out. They'd go watch Netflix instead. Like it's really easy to bail out of a free class, right? And so I checked in Slack. I would send them 6 emoji every hour, and they would pick one and tell us why. And I used that data, again, thousands of students sending this every hour. I was able to pinpoint in basically real time what content works, what teacher is struggling to teach a specific content, which students need help because something outside of class was going wrong, which students need help because something in class was going wrong. And I had a whole team, a student success team with teaching assistants, 800 people who would rally and dive in anytime any student started struggling for any reason. And that was wildly expensive to run that way. No college that I know is saying, hey, let's get a teaching assistant for every 8 students here for each of their classes. No high school can do that. Elementary schools can do that. We were just talking about class sizes. I was able to see the power of that, which is why I was able to pattern match, like, AI can start doing this if you use it right. It's not just, hey, here's ChatGPT, good luck, right? But the technology, the core technology of large language models, generative AI, that you can pull insights out about how people are doing, and you can explore with them proactively and reactively. And you can then have different AI looking at those interactions and saying, here's the opportunity to better support this kid. That's the power, again, of AI in the classroom as I see it.
Well, let's jump into, because this is really great. I mean, I could see me having you back to do a follow-up, because this,
Happy to. I give long answers. Sorry. So go
oh,
ahead.
you are the perfect radio guest, because sometimes I have guests who think they're on the witness stand. I get yes, no answers.
I get it.
So let's talk about the dot learning style. Can you
Yeah.
give an overview of the dot learning style?
Yeah. So one of the things that I say that we like to do is connect the dots. So we have our little AI character, right? You go to ChatGPT and you're chatting with ChatGPT. You go to Claude or Anthropic and you're talking with Claude, right? You go to Google, you're talking with Gemini. So Dot is our persona.
Okay.
So Dot has a specific style, and it depends on if you're a teacher or if you're a student. If you're a teacher, Dot is your assistant. Dot will help you just like ChatGPT will, but we've preloaded it with a bunch of instructions to make sure you don't have to be a prompt expert. And if you ask for a lesson plan, it's not going to be the most vanilla lesson plan in the world. It's going to find out what you teach, what your teaching style is, what you've got in your classroom, and it's going to generate, we like to say, a learning activity that's going to light a fire for the student, not just
Hmm.
check a box.
Right.
And so you're going to get something like engaging, fun, not just vanilla ChatGPT, here's a lesson plan on the water cycle, right? Um, so Dot will be your assistant if you're the teacher in the way that we're all experienced with, but just tuned to teachers. We like to say by teachers for teachers. Um, if you're a student, so we were some of the first people in the world to say, hey, students need to be using AI. 2.5 years ago, more than that now, we were saying, hey, AI is not just for personal productivity. It's you got to put it in students' hands. The only way that students don't cheat with AI is by letting them use it proactively, right? And so give it to them, but Dot is not an assistant to students. It doesn't do the work for them. It's still an assistant for the teacher. But with the student, it's a tutor, it's a coach, it's a facilitator, it's a guide, it's a sidekick. We like
Mm,
we like the word sidekick. Um, and what that means is a teacher can say, I want to give my students a writing coach today. Don't write the essay for them.
ooh,
And Dot won't write the essay for the student. But when the student says, help me write the essay, it'll be like, all right, great. Let's start with an outline. Like, what are you writing about? What do you care about? What matters? Like, let's work on a thesis statement. Let's work on these, like the opening paragraph. And right, it will scaffold the learning for the student so they do the experience, right? The second ingredient of highly effective learning, which is like someone that help you bridge the gap, right?
right, right.
And so in this case, it's AI, and in no way do I think AI is replacing teachers, because this is the other cool thing that Dot does. If you're a student and you're working with Dot, and the teacher created that, we call it a space, like an AI workspace that you're working with Dot. Um, and if you're writing an essay in there, Dot is able to see how you're doing it and proactively roll up insights to your teacher about how it's going. So Doc can see like, hey, this student nailed their thesis statement. They actually don't need any support here. 4 out of 4 above exceeding expectations. They don't need any support at all. But teacher, these 6 students, they're still stuck on their thesis statement while these other students are moved on. You should go and pull them aside and give them some direct instruction to help them move forward on like being able to get this thing right. Or just go and check in on how they're doing. Oh, and that one student that's just trying to get the AI to talk about Fortnite, Dot's trying really hard to fit Fortnite back into the essay assignment, but also
Right.
it's going to flag to you that like that student needs something.
Yeah.
Here's the most powerful thing. A teacher came to us in January of last year, and she said, "You don't even know what you've built."
Mm.
And I said, "I've got some idea of what we've built." I guess. But she said, "No, very, very seriously, I'm a creative writing teacher. And I had a young woman in my class that's been coming to my class all semester. She sits in the back. She comes in with her hoodie on, headphones in her ears. She's an excellent writer, but I've never heard her say a word. And I gave her a space, one of these AI workspaces that we give to students. And it wasn't Dot at the time; it was another persona, but before this new update. But the AI in the space asked about her plans for the weekend. And the student said, I don't have any. I don't even feel safe going home today.
Oh, wow.
Which,
Wow.
by the way, these types of scenarios are happening with students all the time. I do not. So, okay. So here's what happened. The teacher gets an alert on
Yep.
their mission control dashboard that we give them. And the teacher was able to go and say to this student that did not feel comfortable sharing that with any adult or any person in her life, but did feel comfortable sharing it with AI. The AI was able to go and alert the teacher, and the teacher was able to go help that student get in with the school counselor, get her the help that she needed. She didn't go home that day. I don't share that as like, hey, wild success story. I share, right? Like that's it, but I do share that as a powerful example of
Yes.
what can happen when you give students a safe place,
Right.
a managed place to
Mm.
work with something that they feel comfortable with, that isn't judging them, that is infinitely patient, that is there to help, and then connect the dots back to the adults in the building for what they need, whether that be a very personal, very sensitive thing,
Yes.
Or whether that be, hey, this kid's, playing around talking about Fortnite, or this kid just needs help on their thesis statement, or this kid's an amazing writer and you should help them find the right competitions or college programs or authorship apprenticeships, right? Like whatever it is, like being able to take that 10% of students that deserve it, that are really exceeding, uh, those 10% of students that need a very different kind of help, or all of those kids that are just like, they're fine, but also deserve it, right? That's that
That,
again. I keep saying this, but like that's the promise, and what we're building. Go ahead.
that is simply phenomenal. I mean, for a student to be able to express it and then for it to be channeled the correct way so that the student can get assistance.
Yeah,
Being an adjunct professor, I've had those private conversations with students, and fortunately, God has blessed me with the empathy to say, okay, how do we help the student to achieve what they need to achieve?
think, think about what that takes for that student to come to you.
Right.
And you're, at least from this interaction, you're very approachable. You're kind of hard. It doesn't surprise me that you've had those conversations. My dad was a college professor at BYU in the music and like arts department.
Mhm.
Whatever you know about BYU and whatever you might assume about people that might be doing that as their major is like he had some very personal conversations with students that were struggling about the environment there and what it took to come to him, for that. And to be able to take some of that, uh, relational barrier out of like, I need help with this thing.
Right. Right. Right.
And then pull in the person that's going to care, right? Like that. I don't think AI should be your guidance counselor or
No.
should be your psychologist or whatever. Um, I do think it can help you think through like that. It can help develop metacognition. It can help you think about what you need, but more so when you build it in a way like we've done with School AI, that the entire premise is connecting the dots between students and the people who support them by finding out what they need and helping make it happen. We can say, hey, Darrell, this student needs you today.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Mr. Caleb Hicks. He's the founder and CEO of School AI. If you have missed any part of this interview on the broadcast, you can see the live taping of the interview on my YouTube channel, Leadership with Darrell W Gunter, or listening to the podcast on any podcast channel. This is probably one of the more significant interviews that I've done in my career, and I mean that very seriously because I have two nieces who have their own charter schools. And I'm going to say to Celia, you got to talk to School AI because they have this phenomenal tool. So you in my research, it says that you save teachers a minimum of 10 hours a week. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And the 10 hours seems to be very conservative because when you gave the example of having 7 classes, 40 students each, 280 students. That's a lot of time. So share with us where it's a value add to the teachers in their curriculum time.
Yeah. This goes on YouTube, right? Can I share my screen? Can I
Yes,
show
you
you
can.
something?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There you go. All right.
Let me I'll talk while I'm pulling this up, but we saving teachers time matters. It does. Teachers are overwhelmed. There's a teaching shortage in
Yes.
most of the United States.
Yes.
And that's in part because of the burnout,
Mm-hmm.
that teachers are experiencing, and it's hard to stay in the career. And am I echoing? Did I
No,
just
you're fine. You're
Okay.
fine.
I am hearing a light echo that I think um we're okay. So the way we talk about this is everyone's on a similar journey as it relates to AI. And well, sorry, back to teachers and saving them time. It is valuable in and of itself to save teachers time. It is also just a really important way to orient teachers to the power of AI
Mm-hmm.
and sharing with them, like getting them used to, hey, this is a great tool for you. Why save them time? One, help them love the job more. B, help them show up more present, C, give them more time to actually spend with the students that need it, like I mentioned. And so the way we think about this is everyone's on a similar journey. Can you see this?
I can see it. Yes.
Okay. So it starts with schools and districts. It starts with permission. 2.5 years ago, everybody was like, "Can we even use this?" Most schools and districts were banning it altogether. We can't use this, so you got to work with people on permission,
Right.
and that matters. Then you start talking about productivity. How do I use this myself? Me as a teacher, how do I save 10 hours a week? How do I help with like lesson planning or content adaptation? Or how do I use this to help me give feedback to students in a quicker fashion? That really matters. This saving teachers 10 hours a week, I still remember this. I have the essay. In high school, I had an English teacher that assigned a 5-page essay on Watership Down. And I remember doing the math. He's got something like 150 kids. He assigned every single one of them a 5-page essay, and he's going to turn this back around by Monday graded, which means there's not a chance that he's going to read this essay. He's going to read the first paragraph, the last paragraph, give me a grade, right? So it's down in my garage, this essay. In the middle, it says, I don't think Mr. Sutherland's going to read this. So I'm just going to talk about whatever I want for a minute or two, and then we'll see what happens. And I got it back on Monday. What do you think the grade was?
A plus.
92 out of 100. He had some comment on my closing statements, right? Like my closing paragraph. Fine, whatever, right? I got an A. And A, that feedback came late. B, I didn't actually get the feedback that I should have gotten on how to write a better essay. And that's no knock on him. It's impossible to do that. That's an impossible job. So you also can save teachers time by just helping them give a feedback loop to students in real time and then let them focus in on the students that need it the most. Okay, literacy, we think that's really important. Students need to know how to use this stuff. They're already competing for college or jobs or other opportunities with students who do know how to use it. So let's avoid a situation where we create another skill divide, and let's make sure that every student is actually able to use this stuff in a very capable way. Like we care a lot about that. Then we think about better learning. How do you use AI to actually improve learning? This might be the AI tutor for every kid. No school in the United States right now, well, that's a very broad statement. Very, 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 very few schools are willing to entertain the idea that they would give their kids an AI tutor today, because we're still back in permission mode. We're still like, oh, won't it just destroy critical thinking, and won't it just, the students will just cheat? And I think there are people that are here, and we work with them too. So what I like to say, AI is not the thing. And teacher productivity, saving time, it's useful, but it's not the thing. I know this is weird coming from the CEO of a company called SchoolAI. AI not the thing, but like it's the thing that gets us to the thing.
Okay. Okay.
So it's not about policies. It's not about saving time, although we can help with that, and we do, and it matters a lot. It's not just about literacy, although we do have courses for teachers and schools to be able to run AI literacy throughout their teaching, and we have tools for that. It's not even about the AI tutor. I open with this. Do you know what I'm about to say? It's about the whole student experience. It is about personalizing content, but it's about improving the actual student experience. It's about making school awesome. Like this is how we think about it. And I wasn't planning on showing a presentation here, but this is a step through that I do with every new employee that comes in. Is like, we're not just saving teachers time.
So, Caleb, believe it or not, we have 1 minute left.
All right, I'll stop. Sorry.
No, no, no. You are phenomenal. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah. If you want to know more about School AI, you can just go to schoolai.com. I try to make myself scarce, if I'm being honest. So my email is caleb@schoolai.com if you want to get a hold of me. I'm not big on social media myself. I'm just heads down trying to build and make cool things for students and teachers. And so hard to find me elsewhere. calebhicks.com. I've got some things that I've written there. But yeah, and places like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Mr. Caleb Hicks, the CEO and founder of SchoolAI.com. Caleb, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
That wraps it up this week on Leadership with Darrell W Gunter on WSOU 89.5 FM, streaming on the net, WSOU.net. Remember, you can find us on any podcast channel and my YouTube channel. And we want you to have a great day and a great weekend. But remember, leadership begins with you.